Welcome back to Math 103. This is video number 6 on growth and finance. If tuition, currently $10,954, declines by 2.5% every year for the next 15 years, by what overall percentage will it have decreased, and what will the new tuition be after 15 years? First, we have to understand what happens every 1 year of 2.5% decline. So this original tuition is multiplied in the first year by 1 minus the decimal version of 2.5%. In other words, 1 minus 0.025. In each subsequent year, it is again multiplied by a copy of 1 minus 0.025. And this happens 15 separate times. Every year there is a separate multiplication by 1 minus 0.025. Each copy of 1 minus 0.025 equals 0.975, so that this whole expression equals current tuition times 0.975 times 0.975, etc., 15 copies thereof. So this is the original tuition times 0.975 raised to the 15th power. And that turns out to equal the current tuition times 0.6840. This turns out to equal $7,492.76. That is the new tuition 15 years from now. We still have to answer the question, by what overall percentage will the tuition have decreased in that 15-year period? And we have to resist the temptation to take this decline factor and just convert it to a percent. It's true that 68.4% has something to do with this problem, but it's not that the tuition has dropped by 68.4%, it's rather that the tuition that remains is 68.4% of the original tuition. This 68.4% is what's left, not what's disappeared. What's disappeared is 100% minus 68.4%, and that's 31.6%. In other words, the amount that's disappeared, the percent decrease, is the difference between how much you started with, the original tuition, and how much is left of it in the end. That difference is the percent that's disappeared. We've looked at successive percentage increases and successive percentage decreases. In real life, these often occur together with one another. For example, an increase followed by a decrease, or a back-and-forth sequence of increases and decreases. As an example, suppose that the New Jersey legislature orders Rutgers to reduce tuition by 20% from 2014 to 2015, but allows it to increase tuition by 30% the following year, from 2015 to 2016. So a 20% drop followed by a 30% rise. Let's be careful. Many people make the following mistake. Many people make this mistake of thinking, well, a 20% drop followed by a 30% rise must be overall a 10% rise. But that would actually not be correct. It would not be correct because that 20% and the 30% are not actually percents of the same underlying quantity. To help understand that, let's look at $100 from 2014. From 2014 to 2015, that $100 shrinks by 20%. It shrinks down to $80. Then in 2015, that's when the 30% increase is applied. That 30% is not 30% of the 2014 tuition, it's 30% of the 2015 tuition. So 30% of $80 is only $24, so that $80 increases to $104 by the end of 2016. That original $100 has not grown by 10% overall from 2014 to 2016. It's only grown by 4%. It's only grown by $4 overall. The really efficient way of putting all this together is by thinking in terms of growth factors, finding the overall 2-year growth factor. The overall 2-year growth factor equals the growth factor from 2014 to 2015 times the growth factor from 2015 to 2016. In the same way that in the previous examples we've been multiplying individual growth factors together to get the overall growth factor, the same applies here. And it's the same logic even though we're mixing declines and growths in the same problem. In the end, a 20% decline followed by a 30% increase nets out overall to a 4% overall growth. If you happen to go around asking people this question, many of them are going to make this error that we called attention to at the beginning and that we cautioned against. So now you know how to do it correctly. Don't add percentages, instead multiply growth factors. So you know how to do this correctly. Go forth and explain this to your friends. Our next example is something I've actually seen people have intense arguments about. Suppose you have a 20% discount coupon for the 16GB iPad mini listed at $329, but you buy it in New Jersey and therefore you pay 7% sales tax. Now, the question is, which of the following would you prefer? So you go up to the counter to pay. Do you want them to apply the 20% discount first, and then have the sales tax computed on the discounted price? That way you're paying the sales tax on a smaller amount. Or would you prefer to have the sales tax computed on the original price, and then have them apply the 20% discount to the full amount, so that way you would get the greatest possible benefit from your discount coupon? It turns out that it actually doesn't matter, that the price will be the same either way, and it's worth understanding why. The first approach takes the $329 list price, multiplies by 1 minus 0.2 as a way of applying the 20% discount, and then whatever that gives you, it is then multiplied by 1 plus 0.07 to apply the sales tax. So that way the sales tax is being applied to the discounted original price. The other approach takes the list price, multiplies by the growth factor for sales tax, then by the decline factor for the discount, and that's just multiplying the same three numbers together, but in a different order. So the product will be the same. In spite of the intuition that someone might have that one approach is better than another, in fact, we see mathematically that it doesn't really matter. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, abbreviated DJIA, is a stock market index based on the stock prices of 30 major corporations. It's used as a barometer of the overall health of the stock market. Before going on to the next video, answer the following questions. If the Dow starts the month at 18,000, increases by 3% the first week, then decreases from there by 5% the second week, then increases from that point by 4% the third week, and finally decreases from wherever it was in week 3, it decreases by 2% the fourth week, what will its value be after these 4 weeks of change? And this sequence of percentage changes are equivalent to what overall percentage over the 4-week period?